Had never been to Belize. I'd only read about Sardinia. Everyone would be biking past the house. I'd be sitting in the front yard, and they'd be like, "Hi, neighbor," and then they'd be like, "What's your name?" And then they start passing by. "Hi, Sam. How's it going? Tardes, Diaz. Hello, hola." Within a day or two, I was just like, "Wow, this place is amazing."
Sam Bergdahl. We know each other IRL in Belize, which is very special. What do you think would be different if we were physically together and we were recording this podcast in a shared space?
The energy would be different. Honestly, there's something special about getting to sit beside each other and feel each other's presence and the way that you radiate energy and positivity. And I think we would have even more laughs. We'd be able to touch each other and connect in a deeper way.
We know each other from living in a very remote place in Sardinia. What do you remember about our time IRL in Sardinia?
I remember hanging out on the beach at Belize over a nice barbecue lunch and actually taking pictures of you and your son. I was able to capture you in your natural essence on the swing that was over top of the sea. It really was inspiring. I actually was hoping that when you were here, I was hoping you'd be here a little bit longer so we could do some more formal pictures. But the moments that I did get to capture of you guys and your love for each other was really special. And as the sun was going down and as we were just enjoying an afternoon connecting IRL.
That was a fun afternoon too, because there was a lot of Belizean women expats around, and you don't always get that IRL gatherings with that type of group. So I thought that was really inspiring.
Kinga has a great way of bringing people together in that space from all walks of life. If we, come from North America or anywhere and migrate into a new place, it's really essential to bring cultures and communities together and get involved with the locals and get to know them.
I guess we are the locals. Talk to me about your IRL interactions as a Canadian who living in Belize with the locals.
They're amazing. I absolutely love the locals. I have lived in a lot of different places over the last 12 years, from New Zealand to northern BC, Vancouver, Squamish, Alberta, here in Belize. This is the deepest sense of community that I have found anywhere. My most notable experience, though there are a lot, happened last year. I had been here for just under a year at the time, and I was with my 65-year-old friend. We were biking with our dogs, and a dog scared hers, and it pulled her into a pothole, and she fell and broke her shoulder, like right on impact. And I'm like, I have my dog who's crazy and cannot be let off leash. I'm looking around, her dog is running free, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And within seconds, there were two cars, three motorcycles, a couple bikes, and the neighbors running onto us. They all stopped in the middle of the street. There was a lady, she got out of the car, she grabbed wet wipes, she gave them to her husband and just started caressing my friend. Her husband was like dabbing her cuts clean. We had the guys grab her dog, grab her bike, put it on their car, picked her up, got her in the car, and they're like, meet you at home. And they drove her home. And this all happened within like 8 minutes. And I was just standing there with my dog going, holy crap, and they brought her home, and I was able to get me and my dog back into the house and take her immediately to the hospital. And that was a moment that really sat with me because I feel like our communities, at least the ones that I had been in Canada, they're so disconnected from community and know thy neighbor and from each other that I feel like maybe somebody would have stopped to help, but a lot of people would have pulled their phone out and videotaped it or just kind of stood by and watched to figure out what was going to happen or what we were going to do. How quickly the people around us came together, pulled their knowledge and figured it out without me having to do anything really made me go like, I love this community.
I also want to touch on something you just mentioned offhand is that you were biking with your 65-year-old friend. And I think the IRL connections here are much more varied and interesting because you're not just interacting in real life with people at your age.
I've connected with people from all walks of life and all ages here. Um, I'm one of the youngest expats that are moved here. So I've really had to like open up my world and step into new spaces. I also have friends who are as young as 11 and 5, like the neighbor family that I lived beside when I first moved here. They have stayed good friends of mine, even though I've moved to a different part of the village now. And I've actually been helping their daughter prepare for the Bowen and Bowen spelling bee. So we've been practicing together like 3 times a week. And it's been such a fulfilling experience to be able to help her and see her improve.
It's been my experience that when there's generally fewer people around from living in a remote place, you value the connections that you do have much more.
I'm someone who's always really valued connections. I grew up an only child. So the connections that I made outside of the home were always something that was really important to me. And I think for a long time, as a kid, especially, I really had this desire to be loved. So I just collected friends. Like everybody was my friend. I've come to really, really value the people that are close to me and that are good to me as I get older.
The connections here are much more IRL in my experience than digital.
Everyone comes together to support each other and spend time together because that's what there is to do here. I have friends who come together to do regenerative farming. I have friends who come together just to hang out by the beach or go swimming on a really nice day. You see families just hanging out just because you see more family connection here than I have really experienced anywhere else.
We do get together to do activities that you would just never do. I was speaking with someone on the phone this morning. I'm like, "Are you coming river kayaking with me on Saturday?" Like, it's Thursday already. I want an answer.
I would love to come river kayaking with you one day. I know you're not asking me, but I feel like the next time that we do a podcast, let's do it IRL for real
In kayaks.
on a river kayak.
Once you get
Yeah.
out to Sartaneja, you've arrived. There is nothing for quite some time between Sartaneja and anything else. And so once you get to Sartaneja, being IRL with the people who are also in Sartaneja, to me, has a different feel than other parts of Belize, where it's a little more continuous, where there's people around, even though it's remote here too.
Gotcha.
But like you're very remote. So once you get to Sartaneja, it's like almost like an oasis of civilization.
Here in Sartaneja, we are really separate from the rest of the world. There is still this mindset from people outside of Sartaneja, anywhere in Belize. They just think this is the most remote and furthest place to come. So when they do come, they come here for a while. They'll come to visit for a week or two, and they come with the intention of connecting with each other. That's the biggest mindset shift from even North America to being in Belize and then somewhere as remote as Sartzeneja is you have time and it's all about slowing down and getting together in an intentional way. You are building boats together. That's a really big thing here. I see a lot of people coming together and building their sailboats and going out on the water, going fishing, learning, fishing right off of the dock even and catching crabs and having family barbecues together. When you're disconnected from the rest of the country or the world in a place like this, even to leave, you have to really plan when you're going, how long you're going for, even just for groceries. It could take upwards of 4 hours, even maybe a little bit longer, depending on the day, to get to a place that's really only a 30-minute drive away. So it makes everything more intentional and it really does force you to slow down.
It makes even something like travel to get groceries become an intentional IRL experience where whether you're paying for a private taxi or you're using public transportation, you get to know the people that you're traveling with, even for something as small as groceries. I remember my first arrival day in Sartaneja, we're at the back of the bus, and I'm friends with everyone on the bus by the time we get to Sartaneja.
That was one of the first things I noticed when I was taking the buses is everybody knew each other. Everyone was like, "Hey, hello, welcome. Hey, how are you doing?" Having chats. It was like one big family coming together. You really become part of the family, and I think that that's a really special thing. Belize is a very small place, and everybody knows each other's cousin or brother or somebody. So you get to become part of that community.
I just have very fond memories of connecting with others. For example, I recall like a electronic music party that was held a couple houses down from the place I was staying. And in the city, you wouldn't really pay attention if your neighbor is playing electronic music, but in Sartanea, it's like, holy shit, like I love this.
Who are these people? I need to know them.
And then you just go over, say hello.
And that's the other thing about in the city, you wouldn't maybe you would, but, like, most often you wouldn't just show up and be like, "Hey, like, I like your music," whereas here, you're welcome, you're part of the community, you're part of the family, like, go over, go join the party and have some fun.
That IRL connection is much more embodied in the sense too where we all say good morning to each other. You say good evening. There's just more social niceties. Like the feeling of the IRL relationships here is more open.
Had never been to Belize, I'd only read about Sardinia, and I was a little worried about what it would be like and how I would be received and how the community would be. But right from the first day, I was just like everyone would be biking past the house. I'd be sitting on the front yard and they'd be like, "Hi neighbor," and then they'd be like, "What's your name?" And then they start passing by, "Hi Sam, how's it going? Tardes, Diaz, hello." Hola. Within a day or two, I was just like, wow, this place is amazing. I don't know what it is about North America but that there's like that mindset of kind of shying away from your neighbor and like, oh, don't say hello. And there's just this like separation that's happened between people that just doesn't exist here. Sometimes there are some people who move here that still carry that mindset of separation and not knowing your neighbor. And the locals will say, like, "It's a little weird. They don't, like, say hello. They don't talk to us. We don't know them. What's their name? Like, who are they? Like, why don't we?" And so it's really strange for the locals here to see that mindset, like, because it's just not natural. Everything is about in real life and knowing each other and supporting each other. It's opened up my desire for community even more so, and it makes me want to spread the word and kind of like open up people's minds elsewhere that that is really the best thing that we can do is get more connected with each other IRL.
As an expat too, your interactions are unique because you come from a different place. And so you're treated differently for better or for worse. But it's my experience that my IRL connections here are so much richer and more fulfilling because we come from different backgrounds.
It's just a lot of like TARDIS and learning Spanish and getting to say hello to everybody and like adjusting myself to waving to every single person that I see and building friendships with people and getting to learn a new language as well. It's something that I've been trying to do since coming here is learning Spanish. And I love when I see some of my Sardinean friends and I speak like a little bit more Spanish than the last time, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at you go! Like tu español es bueno," and it feels really, really good.
You are Eco Sam. You capture moments of connection with nature to preserve animal habitats. Tell me more about your work. How does time in nature inform your relationships, both with others and with yourself?
Well, the biggest shift has been in with myself. I grew up with a mom who had some mental health issues, depression and bipolar. And as an only child in that space, there was this real focus on helping her and taking care of her and being able to adjust and manage these changes in her emotions and things that were going on. So I really lost a sense of touch with myself and how to take care of my own needs. And that was something that followed me throughout all of my travels, my 20s. I always knew that I needed to take better care of myself, but I didn't know how. I just started going outside with my camera and doing what I actually loved, which has always been nature photography. I was just thinking, like, okay, how do I make a business? But now I would just go outside and I would go for these slow, intentional walks where all I was doing is like looking at the nature, what catches my eye, and trying to capture it in my through my lens. When I'm photographing nature, I am living in the present moment. I'm seeing what's happening in front of me right in that space. I'm getting really deep into looking at the textures and the changes and the water droplets and these tiny little bugs that you would never see if you didn't look close enough. And I'm starting to appreciate like spiders and random wasps and things more than I ever would have. And I feel the energy change inside of me. I feel at peace. I feel deeply connected. If I'm standing in a bush, like waiting for a hummingbird to come by this one specific flower, I am actually tuning in to how alive the world is around me. And every creature that's buzzing past or flying past or swirling around the flowers, they all have a purpose. And I, don't necessarily know what their purpose is, but they're all on a mission and they're doing something. And whether that's just existing or being, it's like, it's really incredible to just like watch the natural world come to life around me. Slowly recognizing that and then really actually liking the pictures that were coming out of it. I not only developed more confidence in myself and the work, like the photos that I was putting out, but I also developed a better understanding of where I'm meant to be. It really helped me connect with myself. It's helped me stand up and say, this is who I am, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I stand for. Because of that deeper connection with myself, I can have deeper, more intentional relationships with people in my life from all walks of life. Now I'm able to follow my true intuition and I can develop and cultivate those real deep relationships with the people that really, really resonate on the same energy as I do. And it's made my relationships deeper and more valuable.
We talk a lot about IRL with about the human connection, but there's absolutely many, many avenues to have IRL meaningful connections with animals.
I used to be terrified of ants. And when I was, I don't know, like 13 or something, my bedroom got infested with ants. And I used to have like, I had nightmares that they would surround me on my bed and like carry me off. And so I couldn't sleep in my bedroom until they were gone. So I understand where that fear came from. But here, even though there's so many kinds of ants and some of them bite and some of them fly, and you never know which one you're getting, and there are some to be a little, cautious of, it's it is, it's whatever. Like I've come to just appreciate them more. It's absolutely changed the way that I relate to the natural world, and it's made me gentler and more appreciative of their role. It's been really cool to watch myself change in that way because I think like coming from the city, an insect is like the scariest thing ever. And being able to be like, oh, that wasp is just there and not like freak out and run away. Um, is awesome.
I've made eye contact with a butterfly. I've made eye contact with a crocodile. You have a little list of animals you've made eye contact with?
One of my most favorite experiences wasn't here in Belize, it was in New Zealand, but actually making eye contact with a dolphin. Oh my gosh. This one dolphin was swimming along, it flipped on its side and just looked straight up at me as it like swam along, and we just made eye contact for a couple of minutes, and it was just like we were connected. Like I haven't had many animals when you make eye contact with them, like you feel like they're seeing you and like your soul. I'll never forget the way it was looking back at me as if it was seeing right into my heart.
My experience making eye contact with the crocodile as it went along with me in the river kayak, it was at a distance,
Mm.
thankfully, but I'll never forget that.
I was at a true elephant sanctuary for 2 weeks in northern Thailand, and was able to make eye contact with these elephants every day for 2 weeks. And that was an experience. It was like looking into the wise soul of an old creature that knew the secrets of the world. Like it was just one of the deepest and most profound experiences right next to with that dolphin.
I believe that we both share a love for the jungle. What happens when humans get together and design jungle settings?
When humans gather in jungle spaces with the right intention, something really beautiful happens. The jungle has a way of slowing people down and bringing them back into the present. The same thing that happened with me in my photography. People listen to each other more, they notice more, like the way life comes to life around them, and they connect differently. And it's like you're really with the jungle, then it can connect people, especially if you're walking around grounding. You really are connecting not only with each other, but with the land. And I think that brings us together even more so energetically.
Tell me a favorite memory that happened for you in the jungle.
This butterfly came when I was doing a little photography session, a little macro session with this tiny little spider that was on this leaf. And it was actually posing for me. I feel like sometimes nature likes to pose for me. And this butterfly showed up, and I got a little bit distracted from the spider. And I was like, oh, very cool butterfly. And he actually posed upside down on this vine, and I had my camera in his face because I had my macro lens on, so I needed to be rather close. And usually butterflies are like, I'm out of here. But this guy, he just stayed there, and he would like open his wings, close them, and then he just kind of posed for me. Like we were hanging out, and I was taking pictures of him for probably 5 minutes, and he just stayed there looking at me, watching my camera, and I was just completely enamored by the images I was taking. In that moment, me and that butterfly deeply connected. And it's a moment that will sit with me, and I will cherish it forever.
You need to come to my butterfly garden.
Oh, yes, I do. I need to come to your farm and your butterfly garden, definitely.
Let's flip the script. I want you to say something totally unhinged about the power of connecting IRL.
Totally unhinged. Well, in a day and age where all we do is connect through technology, I think the most unhinged thing we can do is like throw our phones out the window and intentionally come together and connect IRL, a dance around a bonfire or something every single week to connect intentionally with each other without technology and just throw it out the window.
It's funny, isn't it, that actually the most unhinged thing to say is get rid of the phone and just be IRL?
These days, yeah, it is. It's the most unhinged thing I can think of because most people wouldn't be able to handle it. Even I would have a hard time because I'd be thinking about the business and the work and all of the things. But the most unhinged thing we can do is go back in time, disconnect from our phones, and reconnect with each other.
Sam Bergdahl,
Thanks, friend.
this has been a lot of fun. I would love to see you IRL down in Harmonyville in the near future. Until then, I think it's time for us to get up and go back to IRL. I hope you have a beautiful day.
I hope you have a beautiful day, friend. Hey, we're matching.
Perfect.